You're watching the Tesla Life Special Detroit Auto Show Edition with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 324 on the 13th of September, 2023. And who's that new host in the corner? That's Moto joining us. Hello, Moto. Hello.
She's getting down.
And that's Dad Casey holding up Moto. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing all right. It's been an adventurous day.
Yes, it
That's
has.
okay.
It has. It has. And joining us in the bottom center, Mr. Patrick Connor from the left side of the country. How are you today, sir?
That's right. I'm good. Hello, Tesla Nation. We have a pretty special show today. It should be cool.
Yes, indeed. And we're late. We're 2 hours late.
Where you been?
And that was because I was out of town. I traveled to Detroit to take in the North American International Auto Show, otherwise known as the Detroit Auto Show. It was Media Day today, and thought I would drop in because I had heard that Tesla was going to be at the show for the first time in 7 years. So
Nice.
I thought, that might be worthwhile to see what Tesla is going to do. And I got down there bright and early. My travel from my place is about 2.5 hours by car to there. So got down there bright and early, was ready to check out the exhibits at about 8 a.m. and had to wait till 9. They don't let you in till 9.
I don't.
So,
Like an hour sleep.
You're already early.
yeah, I could have slept for an extra hour. But
Well, no, then you would get traffic.
that's true. You would have been in trouble with
yeah.
traffic, or definitely the border can have its issues too once you get closer into the morning hours. So
Mark heard there would be Tesla there, so he decided he was going to take a little trip north across the border into the United States.
well, is it
Detroit. You have to travel
it is
north
kind
from Canada.
from Windsor, it is kind of north into Detroit. So if you look at the map, it's kind of northwest. You head into Detroit. So that was kind of interesting to see. Took the tunnel in, which of course comes right out at the center where it's being held. It's right at the base of the Renaissance Center as well. And walked over about 2 blocks from the parking spot. What was really cool, though, in Detroit was that the parking lot I go to is right beside the Renaissance Center. And there must be 24 L2 plugs in that parking garage. So you just drive down and plug into an available slot and pick up almost a full charge for my drive home. So that was
nice.
That was good.
I got to ask you this. I've only ever been when there's snow on the ground. Does the river still smell like human urine when it's not snowing?
No.
It doesn't smell bad. It certainly didn't smell bad today.
I was asking because I noticed it was a lot earlier than just the dead of winter.
I was out walking along the river walk there. They've got a couple of boats moored and a lot of river traffic going up and down. And you can see in the background, you can see the Ambassador Bridge, which is the main artery that connects the U.S. and Canada. And then the secondary bridge, which is going to be called the Gordie Howe Bridge, is now under construction, which will be replacing or being able to add capacity to the Ambassador Bridge. So that was kind of cool to be able to see that in the distance right from the Renaissance Center. But and of course, if you don't know, the Renaissance Center also doubles as GM's headquarters. So it's a hotel. There's a whole bunch of offices, and GM is headquartered there. And at the base of the Renaissance Tower, there's a whole display that's for GM, where they've got legacy cars, they've got race cars, they've got their whole lineup of vehicles all displayed, decked out, a bunch of video walls talking about things and the history of GM. It's kind of cool if you ever have a chance to drop in and check that out.
They get a home team advantage for their booth.
That's right, yeah, because they're just down the street. Well, Ford's pretty close too. So,
well, no, I mean, like if it's in their building, you know, put the car in the elevator, and there it is.
yeah, that's you may as well if you've got the space, and they definitely have space in this large center. But just down the road from the Renaissance Center is what used to be called the Cobalt Center. Cobo Center, right? Mm-hmm. It's changed its name. It's like Huntington or something now.
I'd never find it then.
Forgot the name, but it's just about 2 blocks away. Walked down there, got my badge, and then realized I was an hour early. So I was able to grab a little breakfast, and then at 9 I was in. So on the map of the event, there was a Tesla indication, but it was down in front of the test track. They have an EV test track indoors, and I was looking at the test track, and I've driven a test track before that's indoors, and to be honest, they're pretty tame. If they let you drive, it's like you can't go above you can't go above 10 miles an hour. You can't make any sudden jerks or movements. You've got to follow the cones exactly. You got to follow the traffic lights that are on the path, like all this stuff. Well, this route had a high speed drive, and I was going, wow, they're actually going to let me drive high speed? No. Well, you get down there and you find out you're not driving. You're just a passenger. So I was wondering,
some dude driving, he came busted out of our lobby.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was wondering, how are they going to get insurance to go along with this? Putting all these different people behind the wheel, and it was not. But they had it set up so there was about maybe eight manufacturers that had their own little area. Tesla had their own area. They had a sign up. Actually, I can share a couple photos that I took while I was there.
Were they in a kitty corner, or do they have a proper?
I will be able to show you that, Casey.
Okay. My first time seeing them, they had a roadster there, and then I think my next time seeing them, they had a store with the store concept at the time right there, and it was pretty cool.
So we've got a 3 out front. You can see there's an X, an S in the background, and a Y.
There you go.
And then a little Tesla booth where people would write down your name or take information from the riders. Now, what was interesting is that I wandered the whole show and I saw nothing else but this. That's all the representation Tesla had. They didn't have a booth. They didn't have any representatives on hand because this booth at the Ride Center was actually staffed by non-Tesla employees.
Yikes.
In fact, when I got there early, they were just familiarizing themselves with the cars so they could drive the course. In fact, I got in the S for a ride along. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman behind the wheel indicated that I was driving in an X.
Oh,
so
no.
They weren't quite up to speed on the vehicles. Although the driver got wrong what we were in, but he was certainly enjoying driving the car. So he was having a great time. He said he's going to be there for 2 weeks. He said, I'll probably have to buy this S when I'm done because I'll be so used to it.
Was it a plaid?
No, it was just a regular long range. Yeah. Okay. So
this is a lot tamer than the last time they were there.
Yeah. So I met another reporter in line actually at the Tesla area, and he had indicated that he heard that Tesla was going to have a booth, but something fell through at the last minute, and they were not able to come to an agreement as to how it would be presented or something along that line. And the auto show really wanted Tesla represented, especially in the ride and drive. So Tesla made some arrangements so that they could have 4 of their cars there for use. Although the 3 that they had out front that we're looking at here, that one came to the show almost empty on battery range, and they weren't quite sure what they were going to do with it. And I had said, well, you've got chargers in the middle. Why don't you just roll it over to one of those chargers, plug it in for, it's an L2, plug it in for 8 hours, and you'll have yourself a full charge. And they were kind of confused as to whether or not they could use the chargers or if they were for Ford or GM or somebody else. So they weren't quite sure what they were going to do with the 3.
Not a good start of their back to the show circuit.
No. Well, when I heard something fell through from the other reporter, it made a lot more sense, because this was kind of haphazard. And when I saw that there was no Tesla employees at this ride area, I knew that there was something wrong.
Yeah, when I went there most recently, or time before that, they had George Blankenship gave a speech, so it tells you how long ago it was, and then and then Franz gave a speech just uncomfortably close to my face because I was on the floor, and and that's why I first saw the Model X, the beta.
Yeah, so that was kind of disappointing that they weren't set up. Although there were some other booths that had Teslas in them, obviously, but they were, they were other vendors that owned the vehicle or wanted to display their product along with the Tesla.
Here's our fridge cooler.
Exactly. So there was a few of those sprinkled throughout the show.
How was everybody else for EVs?
I'm sorry, Casey?
How was everybody else for EV representation?
That was a pleasant surprise, was that the different manufacturers seemed to be pushing EVs. They were no longer located in the back of the booth in a dark area. They were right up front. In fact, Ford had a huge display, which you would imagine they would, and they had their own lit up sections for EVs. So the F-150 Lightning and the Mach-E were in their own prominent sections within the Ford booth. And it was great to see that they were actually displaying them. Even over in the VW area, they were right out front, right on the corner where the VW booth began. GM had a whole EV section with all their new vehicles that they haven't released yet. We're waiting for them to hit the market. But, the Silverado, the Sierra, its counterpart in GMC, and of course they've had the Blazer and the Equinox were also out front, as well as a number of Bolts were in the booth. So it was good to see the representation of the EVs were front and center for all the manufacturers. Even Toyota dragged in their BZ model, and it was not hidden away. It was up front as well.
They need to move some. So how about the test track cars? Were they all EVs or were they a mix?
This was strictly EVs for the test track. So nothing but EVs.
It's an indoor test track, right?
That's right. Yep.
So yeah, that's a good thing.
It was all indoors, exactly. Although just adjacent to this, a little bit over to the north end of the hall, there was a test track for Jeep and the Bronco from Ford. And those, of course, were ICE vehicles, and they were driving the test track with them. So they weren't doing high performance runs with them. Those, of course, were centered on climbing and obstacles to drive these vehicles over. Whereas the test track was more of a speed and agility run through a number of cones.
All right.
And I do have an actual video right here.
Yeah, that's on the Ethereum at the test track. Every now and then
So
you hear a chirp.
this is the S and the high-speed run. You can see here that this place where it starts,
Mm-hmm.
it is a some sort of tactile sticker on the ground.
Oh, a little like at the like what Tesla was in trouble for doing the test with, but everybody does it anyway.
Exactly.
They prepped it a little better.
Right, so you can get good traction when you take off.
Yeah.
And maybe it protects the floor a little bit, could be as well.
Yeah.
But of course, the S did not disappoint when I had my run with the driver. He really put it down, and definitely I could feel it. So it pulls a little bit harder than my Model 3.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, this isn't even the ludicrous version.
That's right. It's just the long range. So
Yeah.
it was a fun run, and enjoyed that certainly.
Nice.
But again, a little bit disappointed that didn't have Tesla there, whatever the issue was that prevented them from actually setting up a booth. I thought that, and of course, I was really hoping that maybe they would bring the Highland in, or maybe they would bring the CyberTruck in a box or something. But
really cool.
But no, nothing like that, unfortunately. But
What do they call
yeah,
it?
that's interesting.
There's a little jingle about missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Lowered expectations.
My expectations were sky high, but it didn't quite happen. So I got my fingers crossed for early February, when Tesla shows up in Toronto. They always have a booth in Toronto, and it'll be interesting to see if those two make it to Toronto. But we'll have to wait and see for that until February of next year.
There's speculation about that stateless wonder.
Yeah.
So it's just speculation, so we don't need to indulge them.
So that was kind of interesting. It was a fun day, and of course, I just concentrated on the EVs that were with the manufacturers, wandering around from booth to booth, and Dodge was there with their new Ram pickup. It's a concept. It's more than a concept. I would say it was a fully fledged EV. It was there. The screens and everything were working inside of it. It was more ready to go than what their Demon, the Charger Demon vehicle is.
More one with all the nostalgic brand names strung together.
Yeah. So it was more. It was more solid than that one. So it looks like the pickup truck. But again, Dodge is being pushed about pickups because Ford's already released theirs. And of course, Chevy has their EV platform for both Chevy and for GMC.
And if they don't comply, then Stellantis will kill the brand.
Yeah. So they've got to get those balls in the air so they can start selling EVs. And it would be interesting to see how quickly Dodge is going to come to market. Obviously, Chevy's behind. Very much behind because they need batteries, and I think that they're having an issue because the Lyric, when it was announced some time ago, really lackluster for the number of Lyrics were actually produced, and that was a battery issue. So now GM's trying to put batteries in the Blazer, the Equinox, the Silverado, the Sierra. They've got all these vehicles that need batteries, and GM is just it just seems that they're behind a bit. They're having difficulty.
I've got a brilliant idea. We don't have enough for the Hummer. Let's make 12 more models. not niche model either. Like mainstream.
Yeah, like these are serious offerings, and it's just they're just having issues. So
Right.
we'll
I
have
could
to
have seen
see.
I could have seen doing the Celestic, just because how many of them are they going to sell? But like the Equinox and the Blazers, like you got to be able to bring the numbers with something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the other black cloud that was over the whole show, is that the UAW could be going on strike tomorrow.
I didn't know this.
So there is a serious issue with labor negotiations with the UAW and the manufacturers, and that could really put a damper on sales if they don't have anyone to build these things over the next little while. So it's
any idea what the high level is on what their complaints are?
Oh, it's obviously the same things. It's seniority, it's money, it's replacement workers, it's robots. It's
EVs. They don't want to do EVs.
Of course it's looking at not losing jobs because of lack of parts or EVs use less parts type thing. There's a number of different things that have rolled up inside of this labor negotiation. So
on the manufacturer side, it's just we don't want to do what they want us to do.
No, they actually, well, there's concerns on both sides. We know that if the manufacturer is pushing too hard for their things, of course, workers can get screwed. But if the workers are asking for too much, the product can become not viable.
Right.
And
like, if you just stop that EV nonsense, oh great, now the company has died.
Yeah.
Where are you going to work now?
There are things that have to be weighed out evenly, and we'll have to see how those negotiations happen. But it was that certainly is some of the talk that was going around the show this year. So with that, let's roll into some other news that we had throughout this week. And there was an interesting book released recently.
Yes, that's right.
So the Elon Musk book by Walter Isaacson. Isaac is it Isaac's son?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Walter, of course, had shadowed Elon for some time, putting
2 or 3 years.
This book together, and a bunch of snippets have started to hit the news media, and I guess one of the ones that I found kind of interesting was the discussion about the start of CyberTruck. What CyberTruck had started like, of course, has been completely different than what it's ended up with. They talk in the book about how it started as an aluminum body similar to the 3 and the Y. They talked about a little bit of a roundy type design. And they also talked about when Elon came out with his bold vision of the Cybertruck as we know it today. There was a lot of pushback in the design. Design employees were, I don't know if you call it pushback, but there was a lot of questions about, is this serious? Is
the
this
same that all of us had on our faces on the reaction?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just us; it was the internal employees, the design group was looking. A number of them were going, "Wow, do we really want to do this?" And it's kind of interesting that it was that much of a shock. It's almost like Elon had thought about this for some time, kept it to himself, and then just sprung it on the design team on a Friday afternoon and said, "We're gonna, origami. We're gonna do that with the truck. We're actually going to fold the metal into an origami type shape." And
looking at the wall on the article for this, some of those look like the renders that people kept trotting around on the internet.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. Yeah, so way back when we first saw the Cybertruck, somebody, I think it might have been Electrek, they posted an article where they found somebody from Franz's alma mater that had just been hired, and they found his graduate work, and it was Cybertruck looking stuff.
Yeah.
And so the speculation was that they had hired that person and that looked at their designs and said, that is what we can do. And you've just got them on paper, but we can make them a reality. And so it sounds like it was, at least from that article, the implication was that this person had these ideas, came to Tesla, hired him. Franz loved it, brought it to Elon, said, yes, that's what we're going to do. And the rest of the design team was like, what?
I'm feeling a little missing out here because I didn't have in the budget to go buy a new book right now. So what I did was I used one of my Audible credits. And,
yeah, it is on Audible.
Yes. Hear these pictures. it was a biography, so I was like, "Oh, what do I need? What do I need to get a book for? I do Audible," but I was wrong.
Audible should have a multimedia section.
Oh, they do?
They should. Yeah, they should.
It would make sense to have it. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. Those images in the background definitely look like some of the things that we saw hit the internet over time.
But none of them were as ugly as that white one with like the chain over the chin. That one kept coming back and back.
Yeah, and we know that they had they had a lot of different things in mind, because there was when we saw the semi that they had a truck in the back of it, and that's not what they ended up doing. And then they were even talking about a version of the semi that would be this giant truck.
Oh, like they did in the early 2000s, where they had like the F650, and it was just ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. They said something like it was so big you could put a truck in the bed of your truck, right? And yeah, so that's not where the direction they went. So yeah, it's
they should still make that truck. You get 3 seats, just like his McLaren, and driver sit in center, and then you got your 2 jump seats. And then you got your big old pickup bed that you need stairs to get into.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, how big is the truck? Oh, it's about 25 feet long. So hope your garage has an accordion.
Oh yeah, and no complaints about it fitting in your garage.
You need a triple car shed to fit this thing. So
right? Yeah, you need a Jay Leno 8,000 square foot.
It's like another truck, aim it at like working professionals, and then a bunch of people who have too much money to show will drive it around to make up for other shortcomings.
Nope, you're just gonna have to buy a semi-modified if that's what you want, because I don't think that's on the roadmap anytime soon.
Bring me some mega chargers and I'll do it.
So this book certainly is going to shed some light on a number of different topics, and they're going to be dropping in the media for the next number of days. I'm sure little snippets here and there that may shine some light on maybe what we thought was a little bit weird, or how did that actually come to happen to be. It'll be some interesting reading to see over history some of the things that Elon had done. And why he did it, or what the back thinking was on those decisions.
Yeah, the robotaxi stuff that's been leaking out from the book is interesting too. Yeah, what were they planning? How much has that design evolved? Some of the pictures show it as a 2-seater with 3 wheels, and we know Musk has said, "I won't do 3 wheels; they're not safe enough." But doesn't mean they weren't playing with some of the designs, or maybe it really is 4, but they're behind
Honda inside style 4 wheels, where the rear track is like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they could have done something like that where they have a skinny back but still 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to like put this audiobook on all week, but then I remembered I've got a service department appointment, so I can. Since they're illegal in my state, as I leave this state, I can get a good chunk of the book done that way.
Wait, what? I can understand that delivery centers would be illegal, but service centers? That makes no sense at all.
It'd be a good old boys network in this great state of South Carolina.
Oh man.
But they got spurned for being able to get the dealer contract because you can't have any dealers in the U.S. otherwise you get a problem. They started to play dirty and had some laws and interpretations of rulings changed. And,
Wow.
And now they can't even set up a service center.
The contract.
What about North Carolina? Is it legal there?
It's one of them limited deals. So they'd closed my North Carolina store for a minute. Not closed it, but like revoked their dealer license because they were too close to the nearest other dealer, which was the Raleigh store. We're talking 3 hours with no traffic.
That's too close.
That's too close. Yeah.
Right. You have 2 Chevy stores in the same town, like small town, not city.
Right. That's not exactly equal application of that rule, huh?
Little boys network, baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is part of why they sent me away when I volunteered after Elon said, "Come on in, volunteer." They're like, "Yeah, no, we can't have any free labor right now. It's just not worth the risk."
I see. Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Sad, but interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder when this is going to go to federal court.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to, at some point. I mean, they've been fighting it over and over in every state. At some point, it's going to go federal. I'm
surprised they hadn't done it yet. Like I had thought they would have done it like 2 years ago.
And speaking of snippets being leaked to the media, Project Highland is still in the news as it's been seen now, of course, in a number of different European countries, including now France, where it's actually been inside of some Tesla locations where they're showing it off. And we've got a number of people that are just going to these places and sitting in the car and playing with everything, and they're coming back with some new intel on the vehicle. And one of these things that I found very cool is that they've actually installed a hidden light in the speaker system or the tweeter system of the door. So you have got that little speaker in the Model 3 that's down at the base of the window. That's I guess that would be up towards the front of the vehicle. Well, now they've got a red light embedded in that speaker facing the driver's eyes so that it will light up when you've got a situation that you've got somebody in your blind spot. So there's the ability now that not only will it show the camera repeater will show with the what's actually physically there, but you'll get that quick look of a red light that will catch your attention that, oh, there's someone right there in my blind spot, even though you're not
better than mouse parts.
Yeah.
Right, and that's where it needs to be.
Comments. If you turn on or don't turn on your signal and try to merge into somebody in one of the older Teslas, you get these little hearing test style beeps to the side where the obstruction is. And so far, it's always worked for me, but I don't know if that's always worked for everybody else. And like I said, they sound like a hearing test, so that's why I call them mouse farts.
Either I've never had a Tesla with that, or I've just been unable to hear it the entire time. I'm not sure which. I have no way of knowing.
That's not a very safety feature, is it?
Right. Yes.
No, you should definitely be aware that something is beeping at you. It should not be something open to interpretation.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been to one too many rock concerts.
Yeah, so
I like this new position though. Yeah, this is so much better than having it on the screen, because you're looking in your mirror, right? So having it just right there to the right of your mirror is a much better position.
Yeah, and then I also like that it's inside the car. In the case of the Model 3, it's on that tweeter area. But remember the whole statement by Musk. I know he says a lot of stuff, and the car's not out yet. But remember the whole, hey, you know, if it's legal in your area, you can remove the mirrors on the CyberTruck. So if they put them on the mirror like Volvo and a bunch of other people do, and the mirrors are off, you got no blind spot indicator. But if it's at the base of the window, then hey, you still got it.
Yeah,
right.
I never thought of that, but that's Musk has definitely said that about the CyberTruck mirrors, hasn't he? So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, that's a positive thing that they've added to the Highland. Another thing was about the glove box with the magnetics. Casey, did you understand what that was? What
I understood what they were saying, but I didn't understand the controversy.
Yeah.
So instead of having the little plastic latch that somebody could break off with force, or could gum up with either disuse or overuse or lack of keeping the car clean, it's now a magnetic situation. So just like the charge port door used to be on the really old Model S's, where they release the magnetic charge and then it springs open. And then as you, except unlike the Model S, as you return it to the closed position, it'll actually suck it in and finish the closed procedure when you get close enough.
Okay.
But does it have some latch? Because if it's just magnets, you could pop it open easily, right?
And that was the controversy. But from what I'm understanding, is it's just a much stronger magnet, not quite the same as you find on a security door, but that style, like it holds on tight. So I haven't touched it myself. Obviously, I haven't been to Europe, so
yeah. Now we're gonna have people going into those stores in France with a crowbar and trying to see if they can pop the magnet off.
Right. Yeah.
See how strong it really is.
Yeah, I imagine it's significantly weaker than a security door, but if it's good enough that somebody borrowing your car can't go through and find your registration and all that.
Yeah, yeah. When the magnets engage, there's a strong hum in the car all the time, is it?
I would hope that, since their whole thing is fuel economy, that it's actually an electronic release rather than an electronic hold.
Yeah. It would make sense. It would make
my
sense.
battery is draining like crazy. But boy, this glove box is nice and closed. 400-volt magnet holding it shut.
My range was cut in half, but man, that glove box, it is closed. It is not opening. Wow.
Whoa, no. She's trying to color on me.
Yeah, you need some color.
Yeah,
match your shirt.
Dad needs some color.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick and I were. Oh wow, you colored all over my wife. Her legs are blue.
Oh no! Oh no! Casey's house is turning into Smurfs. Next, we've got some real interesting information about Giga Mexico and Giga Texas. This kind of came out of left field. There was a story earlier in the week about a supplier indicating that they had heard that Mexico is going to have some delays about being built. And of course, who knows? Suppliers leak information all the time. Not sure if they're in the know or not. But later in the week, it was announced that the ModelNext, which was indicated it was going to be made in Mexico initially, that initial rollout is going to happen in Texas now. So the first iteration of it will be built in Texas. And then at some point, it could possibly be moved or another line opened up in Mexico. But
think about getting the engineers to move to that factory for 6 months and not wanting to happen.
Or is it a control thing? Like, is it something along the lines of, we really want to get this nailed down before we start producing it in other countries? Why don't we build it in our backyard where we're always there anyways, and we can oversee the building of it, make sure that everything is fine, then we move the technology out to another place.
Right. Yeah. When you're trying to ramp up, you're going to be making changes to the line, changes to the design, a whole lot of things before you get to high volume production. So if they can do that when they've got their whole team to debug everything, and then once they get that up and running, now you can copy it to other locations, and it can happen a lot faster the second time.
Yeah. And like you said, it could be definitely a control thing when they say, it's probably true about the engineers, but at the same time, if you can get them to move to China for 6 months, I think you could probably also get them to move to Mexico for 6 months. So, like you said, it's probably a little more to the story than what they've allowed to leak.
Well, and if there's this delay and Tesla doesn't want to delay start of this production, they're like, okay, we could do the ramp up here, and then
right, because they have experience
Giga
with Berlin and
Mexico's
paperwork, so why risk it
right.
again if things aren't going like the Mexican authorities told them? All right,
Right.
fine, we've got something for that.
Yeah, can you imagine if they had to wait before they could start the Model Y for Giga Berlin? No, they would not wait. Tesla moves fast and changes plans and adapts when they have to. And if there was a delay in Mexico, they're going to adapt and okay, move it here, get that worked out while that's being finished off. And I also heard today that they're increasing the size of Giga Mexico. So they're putting another. It looked like it was about double. Like they are still certainly investing there, even though they had this delay.
Yeah, they're definitely not running away or anything like that. But it's it is interesting that the supplier came up with there are some delays that could push it back like over a year. Is what he was indicating. He, she, they. I don't know who it was, but it's kind of interesting that that happened first, and then we get the announcement shortly after, a few days later, was that ModelNext will be built at Texas first. So they definitely, they're definitely not moving away from it, but they said because it'll be made first in Texas, and then they indicated it could be rolled out to Mexico after that. So it's probably something which makes sense anyways, because they are, what are they, 4 hours apart, 5 hours by car. So like, why would you not do that first? Right. It's kind of interesting that they decided to do that in the first place, especially because Texas is so large. They've got so much room, and they've got oodles of room to build another 5 plants if they wanted to. So it's not like it's a space constraint, not like Fremont. But
well, I mean, even Fremont, like all the gigas, including Fremont, which they won't call a giga, except for Buffalo, has been expanded upon since they called it done and ready to go.
Yeah. So another thing that came out from the book that kind of ties all this together is that for the ModelNext, Musk was really pushing hard to have no steering wheel, no pedals, and the design team convinced him that they can do a version that has those things, but in a way that makes them easy to remove. So that way, he didn't like that because he didn't want to do some halfway step, but they convinced him that that was the right move, that legislation or other things might not allow robotaxi to take off, and there could still be a big market for selling cars that are much more affordable. And a $25,000 EV, a Tesla, there's going to be a huge market for that. We saw as they stepped down from the Model S to the Model 3 that people lined up and waited 2 years to get that car. So exactly, yes. I think a lot of our audience too.
See what happens when you just drop the price of the S and the X $10,000.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that's going to be there's going to be a huge demand. I think people are going to want more than just to take a taxi ride in it. They're going to want to own one. And so if they really do come through with this thing that can be either one, that's great. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Apparently they're still going to look different because, Muskie. He didn't want them to look the same.
But he also doesn't want to have a whole lot of different SKUs, right? So every variant costs, and they're trying to reduce variants and other things.
He says a lot of stuff. The Elon handler will get him back on the right track eventually.
Pull him back from the cliffs of insanity. He had a whole team for that.
That's certainly something that I'm sure the team looks at, is like, let's look at the realities that, as far as we can see them today, what we feel regulations are, what we feel that the openness to the public is to perhaps new ideas, or in some cases a completely new formula of how to transport somebody around. It's something that you've got. You can't necessarily, and in a lot of cases, just spring something that's so radically different on the public and expect everybody to go along. it's kind of easier to warm the water gradually so that everyone gets up to speed and can go to the next level with you. And why not sell cars along that line as you do warm the public up to these new ideas?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of getting him to understand and see it another way. That's the reason it took us 6 years to get waypoints, is because he didn't get why anybody would want such a thing, and somebody must have had it just a little bit closer to the point where he's like, fine, we'll try it out and see, and then everybody loved it.
I hope you two are using your waypoints, because we know what happens to a feature that doesn't get used.
I use my waypoints every journey, not just the automatic supercharger finder.
I'm working on the lumbar every second day. So you guys, you better start doing your waypoints, or we're going to lose that.
I actually do use the waypoints quite a bit, and not probably for exactly how it was intended. But this one spot that I like to go to, I like to park like around this corner, but where it brings me is not where I want to park. So I still do that, and then I just add a waypoint that's right after it. And so yeah, that works out well.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. Well, Tesla hit another milestone this past week. And
Mr.
of course, Mr. Superchargers got that for us.
So over at supercharger.com, we want to tell you that on this, what is it, 13th anniversary, Tesla has hit 50,000 installed superchargers.
Woohoo!
Yes.
And that, of course, is just in South Carolina, right?
Oh, South Carolina has more than you
We know how much they love Tesla there.
Right. Well, you saw how long they waited for their first one in Charleston. It was till after I left.
That's right. They were waiting for you to leave. That's what was going on.
But so remember back in 2012, January 2012, there were 0 superchargers in the world, and today we've got 50,000 as of.
That's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Exactly. 50,000 installed and running. That's quite a feat.
Yeah, the cool thing to me was that about half of those have been installed within the last 2 years.
Yes, because in April they were at 45,000 superchargers.
Right. So their pace has increased. So if they can install 10,000 a year plus, they're going to be quickly doubling that 50,000 number.
Hopefully next year.
Yep, we'll have to keep our eye on it. But of course, with the growth in the fleet, and Tesla indicate even in the letter that they send out to Tesla owners that the 50,000 has been reached, they indicated right in that letter, and we will continue to grow the network, because they know with putting 2 million cars on the road a year plus, you're going to need more and more and more. It's a nonstop thing. And of course, with the deal with the US and Canadian governments allowing other EVs to use the network in some sort of ways, even more demand. Yeah.
So with them though, I mean, they're not that big of a deal unless you're in one that's already congested. But somebody pointed out that, and I didn't pay any attention to this, but remember when Honda and Acura kind of said, "Oh well, we'll do whatever GM says," but then they realized that doesn't mean that they'll have the port, but it doesn't mean that they'll have supercharger access. So then recently, Honda and Acura put out a little mamby-pamby press release, and it was the same as everybody else's, adapters in 2024 and the port in 2025, but they used the same phrase as everybody else: access to an additional 12,000 chargers. Well, 12,000, and there's 50,000 now. That number has not gone up as these later folks have announced. So the person who brought this up was speculating: is it going to stay 12,000 for a while, or are they all just copying and pasting the same press release and nobody ever updated it?
It's more likely the second one. They've got to be putting out more than Magic Dock stations, certainly for the next year. After that, I don't think they're going to need as many of those, because more cars will be NACS at that point.
Yeah.
But how many Teslas are out there on the road today? About 3 million, give or take, and then 50,000 charging stalls. So that's 60 cars per stall, just as a ratio. So, and if we think they're going to do 2 million next year, that they really do have to double their network, because if the rate of cars keeps increasing, they have to keep up with the charging network.
The only thing the only thing you don't have and we don't have altogether is that we don't know how much those chargers are actually used on a daily basis. What the vacancy is on those chargers, and what times.
Right. But when we see them building a new one right across the street from the old one, then we know that one was full.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
A Starbucks across the street from the Starbucks.
Yeah, same thing. Next, a couple quick. Actually, I'll do a quick Powerwall story about Vermont. The Vermont virtual power plant. We've been keeping an eye on since its beginning. Just a quick note that they're now up to 4,800 Powerwalls in Vermont that are connected to the VPP, helping that state, of course, shave the peaks and be able to save everybody money. And in Vermont, of course, the people that opt into the program are financially rewarded for the use of their Powerwall as well. So a big plus, and Vermont continues to grow. But the real story Patrick's got about Powerwall as well.
That's right. So Tesla has officially released specs about the Powerwall 3. You can go to their website and see it there. Although parts of the website site still say it's coming in 2024, which is interesting because we've actually seen some photos of some installs. And so it is real. It is happening. Powerwall 3 features an integrated solar inverter, allowing solar to be connected directly for high efficiency. So with the Powerwalls they've done in the past, they're all AC connected batteries. So even if you have DC, go ahead.
2 and up.
One was DC. Yes. One existed for about a millisecond, so I'm not counting one. Yes. So Powerwall 2, Powerwall Plus, but now with Powerwall 3, it has its own built-in inverter, and you can be more efficient with that. Well, it's not just an inverter; you can be DC connected, so to your solar, and
with the MPPT.
The other interesting thing here is that it also talks about, even in the Powerwall 3 page, how Powerwall 2 can be added to existing solar systems. So it sounds like from this that they're going to keep Powerwall 2 around, and Powerwall 3 will be for new installs with solar where you need a solar inverter as well, whereas Powerwall 2 will be their retrofit. If you already have solar, you already have a solar inverter, then you can use Powerwall 2. Either that, or that's what they're doing until they get rid of their Powerwall 2 stock.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure which way it's going to go here. This article that we have has a nice table that compares Powerwall 2, Powerwall Plus, and Powerwall 3. They're all the same energy capacity, 13.5 kilowatt hours. So that was interesting. Powerwall 3 is higher power. So that's nice because if you only have one, with the Powerwall 2, you have to put just critical loads on it. And you generally can't put your whole house on unless you have 2 or 3. With Powerwall, say again, Casey?
You're going to buy 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then that gets you more power, but it also gets you more capacity. So that's it. But it also costs more. So the Powerwall 3 is a nice compromise. Are you guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yep, we're here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I got something weird just happening in my headphones. Okay, so the size, it is thicker. The Powerwall 2 was 5.75 inches, whereas this one is 7.6 inches.
Oh,
and
quite a bit
thicker. Yeah. It's a little heavier than the Powerwall 2, but lighter than the Powerwall Plus, which since it has the built-in inverter, it's not surprising that it's heavier than the one that didn't have an inverter. One of the things we've been wondering is
more,
about the battery chemistry.
And drop the weight over the Powerwall Plus.
Right. They dropped the weight and integrated and higher power. So one of the things that we've been wondering is Powerwall 3, were they going to go to an iron-based battery?
Right.
And it looks like they didn't. With it only weighing...
They managed to also increase the capacity of those iron batteries.
Right.
So I'm saying something about the scalability. I didn't realize that Powerwall Plus couldn't be daisy chained. Whereas the original Powerwall 2 and the original Powerwall itself, you could have 10. You could have 1 and then 9 more.
Right.
And then on the Powerwall 3, it doesn't say that. It says available up to 40.5 kilowatt hours max per unit.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to phrase that. It's
Right.
like they operate plots or something.
Is that your thought, maybe, Patrick, that you're going to daisy chain Powerwall 2s to the Powerwall 3?
Right.
Do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be an additional 3. So you could have a Powerwall 3 and then have 3 Powerwall 2s along with it, running off of using that same inverter. Yeah. So that's
sounds a bit complex that that they're going down this route. We don't know if they're going. We're speculating.
Right.
That's my Powerwall color. What he knows about this.
Right, because it would make sense. You wouldn't want it to install a bunch of Powerwall 3s if you didn't need that inverter capacity.
Right.
Why would you install a bunch of them to have it? So if you could just put Powerwall 2s with it, have that one as your first Powerwall and inverter, and then the others is just Powerwalls.
Well, they still have inverters in them. They're just AC only, not the DC to DC and all that.
Right, and they're just enough to do what they need to do and nothing more. Whereas the Powerwall 3 can also be your solar inverter.
So you might have 2 of them if you have an especially large house, but 6 inputs.
That's depending on how many panels you have. Yes.
Yeah.
Maximum of 400 volts input, so DC. So you can take a supercharger in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see.
That's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
again, it's just been released on the website, kind of like a soft debut. Nothing.
There are people who had them. I think when they started taking pictures of it, that's when Tesla had to say, "Oh shoot, we got to."
Yeah. Someone caught on that we're actually installing Powerwall 3s, and we haven't said anything about them yet. So
right.
Guess we have to roll out the webpage now. It's almost like they're reluctant to tell us that the new things are happening, right? So
right.
Well, like Patrick said, if they were trying to burn through their stock of the old stuff, then that messed up their plans, didn't it?
Right. They're trying not to Osborne themselves, maybe. Yeah, I'm really surprised they didn't go to an iron phosphate chemistry.
Yeah, a number of their competitors have done that, are starting to move that way, and some have actually deployed iron phosphate instead. Let's
see. So we got heavier by 30 pounds or so. So would a NPPT weigh 30 pounds, or could that be the difference in the new cells, assuming that they went to a next-gen iron phosphate?
I don't know the actual weight, but
I'm looking at 250.3 for the Powerwall 2 Classic and 287 for the Powerwall 3. But it was 343.9 for the Powerwall Plus, which had the inverter on top. Big module. Yeah,
some of those solar inverters are pretty beefy. Yeah, some of them are 50 pounds. I mean, so I don't know how if they're only 30 pounds over. I don't think they change battery chemistries, but we'll find out. We'll find out more as the details come around.
We'll keep an eye on that. Also, Casey's got a story that he spotted. Actually, he didn't spot what the picture was all about, right? You saw it. You saw it, but you didn't quite see it all. But yeah, I can actually. I've got that picture lined up.
Catch it before I did.
We'll grab that picture and share it. So we've got a couple CyberTrucks charging in Texas, and
it's not papers taped to the one on the left. That's not what I missed.
Yeah, there's a notebook on this one.
So what Mark saw and I didn't see is that the one on the left is at a much lower, maybe a minimum height setting, and the one on the right is at a much higher, perhaps max height setting.
Air suspension, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So we've got a low suspension and a high suspension side by side. Actually, it makes the truck really look different, doesn't it? Just because it's different angle that we're looking at it. But yeah, this one definitely looks bigger because it's taller. But it definitely looks a lot different, even though the exterior should be exactly the same.
Another way to see how much taller they are is the one on the left is like at the height of the bollard, which is still substantially higher than most other Teslas when they come up on a supercharger pedestal. But then the one on the right, it's almost to the hanger for the cord.
Exactly. You can definitely see that on the back of the supercharger. Yeah. But that's kind of cool. That again, the drone army never sleeps. They're always buzzing around, snapping pictures where they can. Of course, they've been banned in Shanghai, but at Giga Texas, they're still allowed to buzz around like the annoying flies that they are. They're everywhere. I'm sure. I'm sure employees just have like a buzzing in their ears all day long.
Oh man!
Well, I got a drone swatter I carry around.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And again, no real information about Cybertruck about when it's coming. A lot of people are hesitating. Here we are mid-September, getting a lot closer to the end of the quarter, and Tesla usually gives people about 2 weeks if there's going to be an event. We had heard that you could buy your own ticket with points, but of course, there was nothing about when that event would take place. You could get your ticket, but there was no date. So there's, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to get something by the end of September, or do you think it's going to push into fourth quarter?
It's certainly a possibility because they stopped allowing you to use your points to cash in for a ticket after a certain amount of time. I don't know if that's just because they had too many, or like you said, if it was too close to the logistical deadline. I still contend that that by the Christmas holiday update, we'll have at least 30 of the trucks delivered, and we'll have, more that we know. Not it won't be as sparse as with the Tesla Semi, with its delivery to its single customer, where we still to this day have a lot of questions.
Yeah. What do you think, Patrick?
I really hope it's this month. We've seen parking lots full of them. They are producing them. It's time for them to have the event and do it publicly. And of course, I mean, like, they don't have to be in full mass production to do that event. They just have to have enough for a handover event and put some happy customers up on stage receiving their new CyberTrucks. So I still have my fingers crossed for this month.
6 best rated employees.
And High Mileage Rob says next week. So we got the 7-day clock up, and we'll be able to tell by next Wednesday if Rob is correct.
Everybody put your guesses in the chat, and then
exactly.
Mark will keep track of that. So obviously I have my end of the year thing, but for the event, let's say before Halloween.
Oh, how about a Halloween party event? That would be fun. Yeah.
Exactly. They could use one of the trucks as a cauldron in stirring the vault.
Yes. Filled with some liquid nitrogen or
dry ice.
Something.
Yeah.
Dry ice. Yeah, there you go. That's
So that's the question we're all waiting for. We got to release the Highland out of the way. Now it's just waiting for that Cybertruck news. So we'll have to see if we get something by next week. But let's wrap it up for tonight, gentlemen. Casey, any shout outs for the end of the show?
So on Sundays, I do a little chat with the audience, and you can catch us over at youtube.com at Casey Green. Sometimes Mark and Patrick will show up. Sometimes some other friends will show through, and it's a blast.
Exactly. Patrick, what do you got going on?
I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org and check out our National Drive Electric Week events. Check that out in general. Find one next to you. We've got dealers coming and bringing EVs, and our members are bringing cars. There's going to be a ride and drive event. Ours is October 8th, which is a little later than some of the others, but it's still in the week, if depending on how certainly within a Musk week, certainly. so check out National Drive Electric Week.
Earth's history is within a Musk week. It's not much of a guess.
From a literal week or 6 months.
And then I blog occasionally as carswithcords.net. And last week, right after the show, I had my 12-volt replaced. I talked about that coming, and so of course I blogged about it, and you can go check that out. Thanks.
Very good. Wanted to say hello to the chat room. Derek, June C, JT24, Marcia, E-Car Books. Of course, Rob, High Mileage Rob is in there, and thanks for everyone for joining us. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe button. That helps us out. And follow us through the week on our social media page. You can follow us on X at The Tesla Life. And you can also follow us on our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1. So catch what's going on between shows. So with that, we'll get together next Wednesday and find out what's happening in the Tesla Life.
Hey, Patrick, what's the theme of your carswithcords.net?
Oh, yeah. I like to write about a future free from fossil fuels, baby.
We're talking about where we electrify all the things.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everyone.
Stay positive. Test negative.